This is Conversations with Paycheck and Red, a weekly podcast with two good old boys talking about anything and everything that crosses their mind. You may not know what you're going to get with an episode of Paycheck and Red, but you sure know you don't want to miss it. So do what you got to do. Download the app, find the episodes online, and make sure that you don't miss 1 second of Conversations with Paycheck and Red.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us yet again for another dope-ass episode of Conversations with Paycheck and Red. I'm Paycheck. That's Red.
What's up, party people? Tonight's episode is this real life? Social media versus reality.
Ooh, that's a good one. Social media is wild, man. It's changed everything. It's good, it's bad, it's ugly. We watch and participate in the lives of our family and friends and straight up strangers. It's crazy. But is it real? Red, what you think? Is social media real?
Yeah, it's real. I think it's a whole nother world, actually. You could look at it almost as a alternate dimension.
Oh, that was deep.
People can be who they want to be. They can be whoever they want to be. Little kids can be grown-ups, and grown-ups can be little kids. You can be cops. You can be criminals. You can be whoever you want to be on social media. But when you cut the social media off, you come back down to reality, and you live your everyday blue-collar life. So I think it's a whole other world. I mean, it's another dimension. I mean, it really is to me. I mean, that's the way I look at it. So, I mean, when you say another dimension, and I say you can be who you want to be, that's kind of what the alternate dimension is, or theories anyway, is alternate versions of yourself. A whole different person. So
it's like the Matrix.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
I'm living in a fucking Matrix.
Right? I always wanted to live in the Matrix so you could do cool shit, but
well, it does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, I've seen people meet one another on social media, and they meet one another in real life. They learn to love one another. They get married. They have children. I've also seen little kids get bullied. I've seen grown-ups get bullied, and they take their own lives. So it's one end of the spectrum to the other. You know what I mean? So social media is a good thing, and social media is a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Not going to call any one particular out. You know what I mean? But they're all equally good and bad. You know what I mean? So.
Well, you can attack it from many different angles. Social media has changed everything. So let's take it. Let's go with school. Let's go with adolescence and what our kids, how our kids are maneuvering through school alongside social media. So me personally, I'm thankful that social media wasn't around when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I feel like it would have gotten me in some trouble.
Yes, sir.
I think it gets a lot of kids in trouble, these days. But one thing that saddens me is that we no longer live in an era where kids go outside and play until the streetlights come on.
No,
that's
we
a
do
done
not.
deal.
Yep.
That's a wrap. And because of that, it's and see, social media has its pros and cons. The pros are, the obvious, unlimited resources. Really, I mean. Whether it be building friendships, networking, looking for love, looking for work, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but the cons, one of the cons that sticks out for me the most is people don't know how to interact socially anymore, in a social setting anymore, because everything's done on social media. Dude, I have been I have talked to individuals on a regular basis on Facebook, and then I go to a beard competition and I see them there, and they make no attempt to make contact with me, nor I them. It's just a
Right.
weird thing, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
we're friendly on social media, but like we don't really relate, or we're unable to socialize, you know, one-on-one interaction.
In real life. Yeah. People
Yeah,
don't know
so
how to separate that, man. They
right, and I
don't know
think
they don't know where. I don't mean to cut you off. They don't know where um, social media begins or ends and real life begins. You know what I mean?
you know,
They confuse the two sometimes. I think. I mean, I wish that I could walk around in my everyday life and, you know, whip out my hand and some little holographic thing come up and I can just look at that person and go, you know what, I don't like them, and I delete them. Or
but
you
see,
have a good conversation with somebody and you hit the like button. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
real life and social media are like water and oil, man. You know, they don't mix. You can't socially, like you were talking about, people don't know how to socialize anymore. They don't know how to disconnect from that and become a human being. They've desensitized themselves to where everything they do socially happens on social media.
yeah.
You know
Some
what
people
I
would
mean?
even say a relationship's not official until it's Facebook official.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
think about the you know, as long as social media has been out, you and I are fortunate that we grew up in a time before the internet and before social media, so we can recall and we have good memories of riding our bikes, you know, until the street lights came on with all of our friends. You know what I mean?
Man,
But
I miss that.
yeah, but see, right, and I'm glad you said that because this generation is the way they are because they were born into this computer and social media era, so they don't know, like they didn't experience the outdoor setting, playing with your friends, you know, all the memories that we accumulated, you know, through childhood all the way into our teenage years until we had to become adults and get jobs and pay fucking bills and all that shit, you know what I mean?
Right. Hey, but I pay my
But
bills online. Does that count?
yeah, well, that's again, that's one of the pros about, you know, it's almost abnormal to see somebody with a checkbook recorder or a checkbook or a check.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's taking over slowly. Everything we do is going to be computerized and on the internets before it's over with.
Well, I've had to like, you know, the whole life progression. You know how life progresses, things change, people grow. You know, people's ideology changes or whatever. So since social media has been around, you know, there's been moments in my life where I've dove in and I've been crude and I've been, you know, just say what I want, say what's on my mind, and then I go back. You know, we have this you know, Facebook memories things that pops up every now and then, and sometimes I'm like, damn, you know, I really said that or I really posted that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So my point to all that is that I don't feel it's healthy to know a person's every thought. And some people, they, you know, they're posting once a day, 2 or 3 times a day, and there's just some things, you know, that old saying, some things are just better left unsaid.
Yes, sir. I don't really want to
Yeah.
know what you had for dinner.
Well, and that takes us to a different avenue on this topic is all the different types of social media. So I'm not a big tweeter. I don't twit and all that stuff. But
You're not a twatter. You don't twat.
no. But is it safe to say that somebody who updates on a regular basis like that, that's more for Twitter, correct?
I guess. I mean, I kind of play around with a little bit of all of them. I mean, I'm one of those ones that I like to check them all out. If I don't like it, I delete it off my phone or whatever. You know what I mean? So I have a Twitter account, not saying that I post on it all the time, but people, and I think that the Twitter world is more for business, and it's for celebrities. I mean, I've got friends that have Twitters or Twatters or whatever the hell you call them. So, and they interact with celebrities quite often, on Twitter. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a cool outlet to kind of get, to get your feet wet in the social media. I mean, whenever MySpace was popular, I had a MySpace account, and I had, I played in a couple bands, and my band had a MySpace account, and I had my own personal, and it was the greatest thing because you could go on my MySpace account, and I would have like this really cool music playing while you're looking at my page and shit.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends said, "Hey man, you ought to get Facebook. It's so much cooler." So much cooler. I said, dude, you can't get no cooler than MySpace. Can you play a song on your page? Can you post little snippets of your band playing so people can hear it and buy it maybe? No. Well, it ain't cool. But against my better judgment, I created a Facebook account. And
it's been downhill ever since.
And it's been snowballing ever since. Then it was Instagram, and then it was Twitter and Snapchat and all the dude. It's crazy, and you can link the accounts and all this crap. Where you can just post on one, and it covers all your bases, so you ain't got to keep going to all of them and posting the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a story about Twitter. Actually, now I don't have a Twitter account. I'm sure I do. I don't think I've ever deactivated it. I just uninstalled the app.
Right.
But it was years ago. My daughters were, I don't know, maybe 10 and 8, something like that, and they were in their Justin Bieber phase. Yep. So I commented on Justin Bieber's, one of his comments, saying something like, "Hey, my daughters are big fans," and he said, "Tell them thanks." So that was cool that my kids got off on that. Now I don't know if it was really him. You know what I mean? I don't know.
If you got Bieber fever, Paycheck.
No, I don't.
Are you fanboying right now? I think you like Justin Bieber.
No, I mean I have his posters up for spank material. You know what I mean? But
right.
The music, I'm not a big fan of the music or anything.
Okay.
See, the one of the problems that I have with social media is that now I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat or anything, but it just seems I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But I'm not the dumbest either. and what I've noticed is, how the algorithm thing works. So it's a program set up to show you what somebody wants you to see. And it like, for example, if you're in different kind of communities, like if you have an eclectic lifestyle, like I do, I'm part of like workout groups, beer groups, gun groups, what I mean? All kinds of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
You shouldn't have had that safety meeting before we started, man.
Yeah, but it's mandatory.
Oh yeah, mandatory.
Oh, it's
there he goes. Pick it back up.
Yeah. It's almost like we're being force fed things through social media and mainstream media, and it's just crazy how the whole algorithm and, like, for example, now we don't get into politics or anything like that, but I've noticed that I don't even have a political affiliation, but apparently my lifestyle is dictated by Facebook that I'm a conservative.
Dude, I've seen that same shit. That's crazy.
So it's crazy to me for someone or some entity, some corporation to be so presumptuous, as to my political affiliation when I have none at all. So they're basing it off of my social media.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
Yep, and eventually that'll tie into your voter registration card, and you'll already be picking sides when you really didn't pick a side.
Yep, and not only that, but I know firsthand, I've been in management positions. I know that some possible employers can view an applicant's social media accounts, and some applications ask for your your Facebook, what do they call it? Like your URL address or something for your Facebook.
Yeah.
And they'll go on there and they'll look at that crap.
Yeah.
So it's my point to all that was the whole. I feel like I'm being manipulated to a certain extent. I mean, I'm mentally strong enough to be aware of shit like this. I grew up, my family was military, so
Yeah.
I've known about propaganda for a long time. But social media, like I said earlier, it's good, it's bad, and it's ugly.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. I have a little quick anecdotal story here, talking about being force-fed stuff, and Facebook is really bad for it. About posting ads on your timeline that you're interested in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I recently upgraded my headset here for the podcast, and I had not been on eBay. I hadn't been on Amazon. I hadn't been on Google. I hadn't been on anything. I was thinking about headphones, dude. My hand in the air. I was thinking about headphones and what kind to buy. And I'm scrolling through. And I'm scrolling through my and we were talking about it. Right. We were talking about it on the phone. And I was scrolling through my Facebook, just thumbing miles and miles and miles of news feed, and an ad for headphones came up. Freaked me out because I went back and looked and seen if I had went to Google or eBay or Amazon, and I didn't. Me and you were talking about it on the phone, and I was thinking about them, and they popped up in my news feed as an advertisement. So that shit kind of creeps me out a little bit. So that tells me that Big Brother is watching you.
Well, it tells me that absolutely. It tells me that everybody's working together. So if you Google something, if you put an address into Google Maps or whatever, I believe that Google is, dude. There's times where, because I'm a truck driver, so I use multiple resources. So I'll use my phone, and with my phone attached to the, how truck drivers have, it's like suction cup to their window or whatever.
Right.
So all of a sudden I'll look at it and the mic icon will be blinking like it's recording.
Huh.
Yeah, and that happens often.
Man, I'm a little leery of stuff like that. I mean, stuff like that. That's not. I mean, that's not what social media to me is about. The government, and I'm not getting into conspiracy theories or anything like that. This is just my opinion. The government is watching you. Everything you do, you can't get away with nothing. I see people on Facebook specifically make drug deals on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah. There's a guy here locally here in Jacksonville. Now I don't know him. I don't know anything about him. I just saw it on Facebook, but it was Facebook Live, and the guy just happened to be here in Jacksonville.
Right.
And he was a dope dealer, and he was flashing money, you know what I mean, talking about his business on Facebook Live.
Right.
And all of a sudden, during the live broadcast, you hear a bunch of banging at the door, and it's a damn DEA, or not DEA, not DEA, like Jacksonville SWAT.
SWAT, yeah.
Yeah. And listen, dude, the camera was rolling, so they kicked all the doors in, so all the doors are wide open. So you see this, the SWAT team walking back and forth in the hallway, and you see them as they get to stop at the door. They look at the camera, or I don't know what it was. It could have been a phone or whatever.
Right.
And then eventually, one of the law enforcement officers walks up to the camera and puts his face right in it, and realizes that it's streaming live, and it just turns it off or whatever.
Wow.
But I couldn't help but think, that's what you get. You want to be done, put your shit. I mean, yeah, I've had to have that conversation with my daughters because I'm not too worried about the government and social media, and interacting with me in my life or whatever, because I really don't give a shit what they see in my life. You know what I mean?
Right,
I don't have anything to hide. I'm not doing anything dumb.
Right. Yep.
What I do worry about is some kind of sexual predator. You know what I mean? And I have daughters. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So that's my whole thing. Just, did you know that on Snapchat, and here's another crazy thing about social media, but I'm a grown-ass man. I'm a truck driver. I have a beard. I have tattoos. Yet I have fucking Snapchat downloaded on my phone. But it's because that's how social media works. Is my kids, they don't want to talk on the phone, and listen, you being a dad, I'm a dad. I'm sure there's dads listening. Listen, I've already chewed their asses. I've already done the disciplining things about not calling me back or not texting me back. But I learned that on Snapchat, not only can I see when they saw my little message to them, but for some reason they messaged me back immediately. So that's one of the advantages and pros of social media and Snapchat in general.
Snapchat seems to be the hip thing to do now, and I still can't figure it out. It might be the simplest of shit to do, but I have no interest in it. My kids live on it. They can charge their phone up overnight and get up in the morning, and by lunchtime, their phones are dead because they're constantly walking around with their nose in their phone, and I have to clap my hands and bring them back down to earth. You know what I mean? That's where it comes into is this real life? You know what I mean? So I refuse to get sucked in. I mean, I stay on social media a lot. And I have long distance family, friends that I keep up with, but on all avenues of social media. But I try not to get sucked into the hype of everything. You know what I mean? I tried to use social media for what it was intended for. So,
which is what?
Well, Facebook specifically was a directory for a college. Mark Zuckerberg made it for, I think it was Harvard or somewhere. I'm not quoting that, but it was meant for for people to keep up with one another and what they were doing, and keep up with. And this is my opinion, friends and family. Keeping up with long distance family relationships, that kind of stuff. So, what is social media used for to you? I mean, we all have different opinions on it. I guess it's the origin of it was to keep in touch with one another or something. I haven't done any research. I shoot from the hip. That's just how I do it. But I'm just giving you my thought here. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was meant to keep up with long distance family and friends and stuff like that. But it's evolved into, look what I ate for dinner. Look what I just bought at look at this drink I just bought at the bar. Look at this concert I just went to. People are fishing for compliments and gratification to validate their lives, and it's ridiculous.
Well, if I remember correctly, Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook as a dating app. And it be I don't
know about that. I think it was a student. I think it was a student directory.
That's right. Because I remember the where they added the status, single, married, or whatever. That's when. Yeah, that's right. See, we knew entirely too much about this shit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken over the world. That's what I'm saying. I watched a movie. I took my little boy to the movies the other day to see Ready Player One. I don't know if you heard of it. It's a pretty popular movie in the theaters right now. But it was a movie based on a video game, like a virtual reality video game, and you put on these like VR headset over your eyes, and you put on this cool little suit, and you immerse yourself into a worldwide video game. And it had different avenues, it was weird. Like, it had you put the headset on and you immerse yourself into this world or whatever, and there were different games throughout the world, and you collected like life points or whatever they called them. I can't remember the exact words, but you collected life points and coins, and you could buy stuff, and it would come to your house in real life, like different suits and different upgrades for your world or whatever. And
what?
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. So that is just a glimpse. I think that's what these high-tech movies and this stuff are for, and they do it subliminally, I think, but this is just a glimpse of what's to come. You know what I mean? Because there's already virtual reality headsets, and you can immerse yourself into all kinds of shit. So, but when you died in this world, you know, it took all your coins and scattered them out around you, and everybody else got to pick them up and reap the benefits of your hard work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you didn't die in real life or anything like that, I don't think, best I can recall. But you immersed yourself into a totally different world. And like I was talking about earlier, this little guy, the guy in the movie, the main character, he became a totally different person, which everybody in the movie did that had one. They became a totally different person. And it wound up being this whole entire movie about immersing yourself and becoming a whole nother person and a whole nother world. And, you know, you could buy things, you could trade with people, you could, you know, it's crazy. I mean, and I think that is, you know, movies like that are a glimpse, like I said, of what's to come in the future, you know, because according to the Jetsons cartoon, and I know you remember the Jetsons cartoon, Paycheck.
Oh yeah.
That cartoon was made to be in 2016, I think it was. That it was portrayed in the future because it was a 1980s or 70s or whatever it was when the Jetsons came out. But it was the year was 2016 when the Jetsons cartoon was on. That's the year they were in, and they were flying around in cars.
Yeah.
They were sucking themselves through tubes and doing all kind of cool shit. And it's past 2016.
No way.
Dude, it's 2018. Has been for 5 months now, 4 months now. This is May 1st. So,
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you know, technology and you know, it's evolving. Dude, the high-tech people of the world and the government and whoever else owns the rights to all this stuff, I don't know, I've never seen a flying car or any bullshit like that, like on the Jetsons in 2016, but they're self-driving cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are cars you can get in, and now they're not, I don't think they're in America, but you can get in a car, close the door, hit the button, put in your destination, and it takes you there. You know, so technology is the devil. Technology is the devil, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we're talking about social media, little motherfucker.
I know. That's part of part of technology.
Did you have a safety meeting?
I did, but I'm telling you, social media is part of that technology. When you see movies like that, and it's basically social media. It's a version of it. Virtual reality, you know, is a version of social media. Google has a set of glasses, dude, that you can put on your eyes, like it covers one eye, and it pulls up a Google homepage, and you just talk into it, and it'll bring up a Google page and search just like you would on your phone or your computer.
Yeah.
That's social media. That's technology. It goes hand in hand. I know what the hell I'm talking about here.
Yeah,
I didn't get off on a tangent like you did and forget what the fuck I was talking about.
I don't know. You kind of fired up though.
I am fired up.
Yeah, well, you love some social media, don't you?
Not really. It's a bittersweet relationship. I love to hate it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're making it essential to your lifestyle and your life in general. They're making it where you have to interact on social media to get a job, like you were talking about earlier, to get a job, to find love. They force feed it to you, just like you were talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's social media, technology, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is the devil. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the devil, but it is definitely. Well, I guess, you know, it's really about, you know, how you use it. You know, I believe that too much of anything is bad for you. You know, too much of anything that's good for you, you know, will be bad for you. You know what I mean? So it's really about, you know, how you interact with social media, I guess. Like I was mentioning earlier, I've had to change. You know what I mean? Like I don't post political stuff anymore or religious stuff. Well, I will post some religious stuff, but I don't know. It's just again, I don't think it's healthy for someone to know your every thoughts. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
instead of putting all my thoughts on Facebook. I'll just keep them to myself.
Think about it like this: if they would have never made or invented social media, we wouldn't be having the conversations with Paycheck and Red podcast right now because we would have never met.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like I say, it's all, like you said, it's all in how you use it and how you abuse it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, it has its pros and cons.
Yep.
It's the abuse of it, that's unhealthy.
You ever threaten to kick somebody's ass on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm sure I have at some point.
I'm sure I have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a what do they call them, like a keyboard commando or anything like that.
Keyboard warriors, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like that, but
that's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I've gotten fired up, and I'm sure I have. I don't recall any off the top of my head, but yeah, that sounds like me.
Mm-hmm.
Or the old me. I don't know if I'm certain that I haven't done it recently.
I hear you.
But that's where a lot of and see that when I mentioned that I'm glad that social media wasn't around when I was in high school, and that one of the reasons why is that kids are brutal, so I can only imagine the bullying that goes on, on social media, in schools and shit.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. My hometown, where I come from in South Carolina, a couple, 3-4 months ago, it floated around on Facebook, but
yeah, I saw it.
This little boy got bullied at school, the middle school that my daughter went to before we moved, actually. A little boy got bullied. He was in school. It bled over into his social media. He got bullied. And he wound up taking his own life at like 13. So I press into my kid's head all the time, and even not even talking about social media, I press into my kid's head all the time. You don't know what some people are going through, so treat them fair. You know what I mean? Don't be a bully. You know what I mean? Treat each other as equals and all that kind of stuff. And then, as they got older and they got their own little Facebook page and their own little Snapchat shit and whatever, it still reads the same. You treat people with respect and treat people how you want to be treated, and don't be a bully because you never know what somebody else is going through.
Well, bullying has changed negatively, through social media, in the simple fact that if you get bullied at school, that bullying pretty much ends when you get off that bus. Worst case scenario, off the bus. Maybe you don't ride the bus and somebody picks you up at that point.
Maybe when we were little.
What do you mean?
Bullying ends when you get off the bus. Bullying don't end when you get off the bus, brother.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that when we were young, yeah, that's when that's because you could be bullied all the way up until you get ready to walk into your house, and that's what I mean by the bus stop. Once you walk into your house, you're free for the most part.
Right, but when we were little, yeah, but in this day and age,
yeah, that's what I mean too. Yeah,
excuse me, sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
my bad. Continue.
So that's how, when we were bullied. Now I wasn't really bullied, but in general, when our generation.
So you were a badass. You done the bullying, right?
I wouldn't say bullying, and look, in all fairness, I've reached out to a lot of people that I went to high school with through social media and apologized for, how I acted and how I treated them. And my only defense is that I was the class clown. So everything that I did was to be funny, with not malicious intent.
Right.
I'm sure that it came out as bullying in some cases, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I mean by bullying has changed because, back in our days, once we got off the bus, we were home free. When we were home free, there was no bullying. You didn't have to worry about it. But these days, it happens at school, and then when you get home, there's no escape from it because it's on. They're piling on you on social media, so it's a lot more. It's more of a bigger deal these days than it was. Because I could take some ribbon or whatever for a few hours at school. it would be the all day, every day that would cause me to snap. Which I'm
Right.
sure that's what causes a lot of this shit that's going on in the world these days. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, dude, I was bullied when I was little. I didn't come from a rich household, or my mother and father, my mom and dad wasn't people of authority or higher stature or anything like that. So I wore the same pair of shoes 2 school years in a row. I wore the same jeans all year long. You know what I mean? And I got picked on. And I would spend the night with my friends on the weekends, the friends that I had. And, when you get back to school and you're walking in the hallways with that friend you just spent the weekend with, people are picking on you. Look at those 2 goofy motherfuckers and all this kind. You know what I mean? So when we were little, I didn't ride the bus. I wasn't a bus rider. And I would get picked up from school by my mom, my dad, my aunts, my cousins, whatever. And, because I was picked on so much, it would sort of bleed over into my home life, because I took that shit home with me. You know what I mean? One person can't go home from being ribbed and poked and laughed at and made fun of all day long and just forget about it when they walk in the door of the house. That shit comes home with you. You know what I mean? And and now that social media is around, you've not only got to come home with it inside of your head and deal with it mentally, you've got to go home and deal with it on social media. And it's up to you whether you get on that social media and take that bullying. You know what I'm saying? But everybody should be able to enjoy it in the comfort of their home. That it's there. So it kind of goes. I mean, that's just my instance. I was picked on, I was bullied, and it didn't end when you got off the bus. Not in most cases. I mean, I hung out with other kids that were bullied. So we were friends. We kind of stuck together. You know what I mean? So whenever I would go to school and people were picking on me and I went home, me and my friends kind of, and I'm even still friends with one of them, matter of fact, right now. Me and him became super best friends, really close. And we would not really talk about it, about being bullied, but, we would kind of laugh at the person that was bullying us to ourselves and cope that way, instead of holding it inside and letting it bottle up and putting a string around my neck and jumping off of a chair. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we had that interaction with one another because we both were being picked on. So social media is just that cinch in the noose. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad. It really is. It really is.
Well, sorry that Red brought us all down, everybody.
Dude,
I know, I'm kidding.
Jesus, man. I was trying to have a moment with the listeners here, and draw them in real close to the speaker, and let them listen to real life shit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I might be semi half-ass cool on social media, but Red used to be picked on.
Yeah.
And I see it now, and it's causing people to end their own lives over social media, man. It's ridiculous. I didn't mean to be a downer or whatever. I was just being real. We can cut up jokes and laugh. I mean, I'm not being serious. I'm not crying or anything like that about it, but it's sad, man. I mean, what business does a 13-year-old kid have sitting at home dwelling in his mind on things that people have said to him to make him put a noose around his neck and jump off of a chair? That's crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's like I said, dude. Social media is the devil. It's good, you know what I mean? Because if you use it the right way, but if you abuse it, then it's all over but the crying.
That's I can't follow that. Why don't you tell them how to how to find this podcast and our social media and all that good stuff.
Oh, well, see, that's crazy. We're sitting here talking about social media and how good and bad it is, but here's how you can find us on social media.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but
we just want to get the word out. We're using it in the right way. Let's make that clear.
Absolutely, we're adults. Okay,
right.
we're adulting.
Yeah, we are definitely adulting right now.
We're being responsible.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about things, and we want people to listen and hear what we got to say, and there are different outlets to listen to it on, which would be, what we got now, Paycheck? Apple Podcasts, we got Podbean, we've got Stitcher,
Anchor.
We've got a Facebook page, Conversations with Paycheck and Red. The Instagram would be Paycheck and Red _podcast. Look up Conversations with Paycheck and Red on Podbean and Stitcher. And if you have any kind of questions or comments or concerns or episode ideas or anything like that, we have an email, and it is paycheckandred@yahoo.com. And we're actually working on a website, so be on the lookout for that shit too. So
yeah, so
we're gonna have koozies and T-shirts and
whoa, slow down.
Kind of shit.
Slow down a little bit.
Yeah, man.
All right.
You wouldn't wear. Wait a minute. You wouldn't wear a Conversations with Paycheck and Red T-shirt?
Well, hell yeah, of course I would.
All right then. You wouldn't put a beer in a Conversations with Paycheck and Red koozie?
Yeah. Listen, hey, whatever you buy and send me, I'll use and wear proudly.
Oh, I hear you.
Now, with that being said, if anybody would like to sponsor us, if anybody would like to start a GoFundMe account so we can get some better equipment in here and some merchandise, you know what I mean? I'm sure we can work something out.
Paycheck is begging right now, y'all.
I don't beg nothing or nobody. You believe that?
We just want to interact with y'all and have fun. That's what this is all about. So look us up, subscribe, like, comment, smash that like button, whatever the hell the kids saying these days on the social medias.
All that
and we'll see you next time for episode number 9.
Yes, we will. All right, see y'all
later.